Good evening, everybody. Once again, we're here with some Illuvium. It was a heck of a lot of fun on last Friday. We're gonna do it again. Of course, more Dreamers Esports, Illuvium tournament action right around the corner. I mean, it's definitely coincidental, and I cannot complain. The fact that my stream schedule is Tuesdays and Fridays, and their Illuvium tournaments are on Tuesdays and Fridays. So it absolutely works out in my favor there. Like I said before, I had a lot of fun Friday. Let's do it again this time by. Now, of course, there was actually a patch that did just recently come on through that gave us the spectator mode, but now there is another small patch that introduced a couple different regions into the rotation, which can absolutely play a part in determining some of the randomness in how the games go. I'm curious if we'll see any of it happen to affect our tournaments here today. I know it's definitely affected a couple of my ranked games, and some maybe not always for the positive side of things, but hey, you gotta adapt, right? Of course, massive thank you actually to the Dreamers Esports community as well, because for the most part of the people that watched the first stream, they were very, very positive about everything. We're happy that it was being done, so I'm very, very thankful. Without further ado, though, we're not going to take too much time here. We're going to go hop on in to the first game of the day. So this is going to be one side of the semifinals. Of course, both semifinals happen at the same time. Can't be in two places at once, so we're going to end up picking the one. But full lobby of 8 people this time by. Getting a few more things briefly set up, and then we will swing right on in. Never mind, I broke it apparently. Let's go. That's what I did. Ay. Scuffing it up already, are we? And we are just getting started. But of course, just loading on into the first semifinal. The semifinal we'll cover here today. Here we go. We may see a couple of familiar faces from last week, from on Friday. Let me scoot myself over just a touch here, so when I'm sitting down, I'm not covering the names of our players. You notice I might have been hiding, of course. OLA's, Neriba, Coyote, Detective Aline, Motor Stormer, Alnert, Arthalex, Max, and TDQ here in our semifinal. There's quite a few returning faces, which is always good to see. And of course, getting things started off here. So Coyote off to a very, very painful start, to say the least, here in this one. TDQ going to take one, but taking a significant amount of damage considering how early in the round it is. Of course, for Illuvium Arena here, the Gauntlet, this part here, this game mode, completely free to play. I know people see Web3, they think crypto, they think NFTs, they get scared, they think they're gonna get scammed, and think they have to just do all sorts of purchases in order to be competitive. That is absolutely not the case here in Illuvium Arena, especially not for Gauntlet mode. You don't need a single NFT or anything to compete here or even participate in the tournament. So I've been enjoying it so far, and the fact that it is very easy to get into, and the fact that it's free, definitely worth a while. Now, hopping into our next round here, I think we're pretty certain how this one is going to go. You can kind of see the green side swarming down Zergling style here onto that front line. Going to immediately take them down. The poor Tipo is not going to be long for this world either. Tetopi, our little snail friend, might get one shot off, but yeah, that does nothing at this point in the game. So you might have 3 Earth on the side of Detective Aline, but you got the tank, but you don't have the damage. Meanwhile, that's exactly what they have on the green side here. just pure damage. Yeah, the only thing that's of course different about, excuse me, even the only part that has any sort of additional function that you'd have to pay for is if you have any of these illuvials that you see the shine on them. That means that you would have had to have like opened a pack to try and get them, or go into the overworld and catch them yourself. But of course, at that point, that's a completely different thing. It has nothing to do with Arena itself. TDQ up against Max here, two of our players that have not lost yet. One relying very heavily on fighters. Meanwhile, we do see the links there on the side for Max. Looking to get that AoE stun, but no, it's actually going to be stunned out there from the Groko on the side of TDQ. And now the Ranger hops in to finish off the Fleesh, and this will be a very, very clean round here for TDQ. Everything going as planned, beating out the Lynx so that the stun came out first from the Groko. And by the time the Lynx could try to make a move, it was too late. It had already fallen. Nothing that they could do there. So again, nicely done there from TDQ. A couple other rounds here. Naraba going to be able to hang on and win that one. Coyote stops the bleeding a little bit and stops himself at 84. Now, of course, once again, when you see the Illuvials with the gray bars in a round like this, that is a PvE round. This is not a player. It's just basically a DPS check, making sure that you're actually playing the game. AFK checker also gives you some items. That is something I'm going to try and do a little better of this time by. Kind of explain some of the additional items that you see above the health bars on these Illuvials. But to kind of start things off here, you'll see the Axon there, the little blue salamander looking thing. Axolotl in the blue. Has that purple circle above its head. Well, that is an item for its ability power or its magic damage, however you want to call it, depending on which niche or game you're from. But its ability, rather, would be stronger in this instance. So that shield that it pops up, just that little bit stronger, and explodes for just that little bit more damage. Does look like we're going to be kind of stuck on the screen here while the players do their first round here in the carousel. Going to end up selecting a couple items for themselves as well. Snake themselves an alluvial, but in the meantime, I need to quickly try and check on out here. As people may know from last stream, or if you're new here, I am a sucker for lynxes in real life. So seeing the lynxes in-game, I absolutely love them, and I love me the hollow ones as well, the shiny ones. It was cool seeing the two of them there. Our battle down towards the bottom of the life totals right now. Ole's Naraba up against Detective Alene. What do we got here? So once again, Detective Alene going for the tanky option with the 5 Earths, the Empaths, but bringing a little bit of damage this time. Has the Fighter, has the Rogues, try and do something. Meanwhile, on the other side here, 3 Rogues, Bulwarks, or 3 Rogues and the 1 Bulwark, try and do the damage. Right now, it looks like the front line here for Naraba is going to end up falling, but it's going to be short to follow by the Ranger on the other side. The Lynx in the middle is going to trade 1 for 1. Doka now trying to get into the swing of things. But even with the Lura, the little purple one that you see on the way on the left-hand side, it was being an absolute nuisance, but could not get the damage necessary to get the job done. They will fall as time, so it's Detective Alene falling 70. As a part of this new spectator client, I'm still trying to figure out where all of the features may lie. Taiga Boreal up in the top right-hand corner does tell you exactly which region that we are playing here today. I still don't quite have it memorized in terms of what does what, but always areas to improve, I suppose. You'll probably see me later on in this as well. Play around with a couple of the in-game overlays. We have, of course, just like we see right now on the red side, the 2 Scions and the 2 Bulwarks. Meanwhile, on the other side, Scion's Rogue and a Bulwark. See how this goes for Max. Had a little bit of a rough start, and exactly what I'm talking about here. We actually can see in real time which alluvials are dealing the most damage, healing the most, and take the most. I'll probably keep it on damage for the most part. And right off the back, bat lines firing away at each other. In theory, though, the numbers game versus the power of the TNT, one already gone. Can there be one more shot here from the Fleesh or from the Ranger? Shots fired and not going to end up happening here. And this is why, personally, as much as I love the look of the Fleesh, I absolutely cannot stand using it in battle. Even though I, too, whether it be being a fan of heals, shields, and magic damage. Fleesh is magic damage, but the thing just... its ability is so rough to use. Like, it just shoots to the target that's at the furthest from your location, but it just doesn't last long enough. It doesn't do enough damage. Like, that was definitely unfortunate there for Max's opponent, because, like, look at that. It got its ability off, and it did less damage than or less than half the damage of the TNT that was also on its team. Or on the other side, rather. I was looking at it a little bit backwards. Motorstormer this time versus Max. Looking for a rather heavy damage composition here on the left-hand side. Max is going to try and see if maybe that TNT can be a bit of a star once again. The Fernite also up in, or the Fern rather, in the top right was doing a pretty decent amount of damage as well. Does get jumped on though by the Grocco, and with the Polar Bear jumping onto Riley the Fox over there, it is going to be short-lived. Motorstormer going to be able to take them out one by one and shut this one down, bringing Max down to 71 this time by. And Motorstormer, of course, we saw them competing last week as well, making it into that final round, making it all the way to second, actually, if I do recall correctly. A good points day for them in the Dreamers Esports ladder, or in the Dream ladder. Now, what's been going on here with Detective Aline? It's looking like they've definitely, them alongside Coyote, were taking a heck of a lot of damage earlier in this one, going up against our leader currently in this lobby, Atherex. But the tank is here and in full force for the side of Detective Aline. 7 Earths, so it gets the extra effect as well now. So when you get hit, you deal some of your mitigation back to your opponent in damage. And then Granite does allow for little bits of invulnerability off the start. And the fact that Detective Aline right now does have that Scarabok that is a tier 5 tank, so it's one of the better ones in the game, if not the best. Especially as you level that thing up and get it evolved. As we battle on in here, but the sustain here from Atherex could be problematic. They may not have any traditional damage dealers outside of the ride, but by being able to heal a ton and then having the Fern just pepper damage, it could be problematic here for Detective Aline, but it looks like as of right now, red side Aline has been able to get onto the healing line of Atherex, and this might be the first one that Arthal X ends up dropping here. It's just a matter of dealing with the Ranger and dealing with the Fern, and there it goes. I wish I could turn off drones sometimes because I can't see a dang thing. That's not just you, that's me too, unfortunately, there. Taking a look, of course, at some of our shinier or hollow alluvials here, and it looks like our player in this case has the two. The Fern looking nice and shiny at the rainbow, Kling looking nice as well. Maybe losing it a little bit with the camera, don't mind me. But again, another DPS check, AFK check here. Roll that one out, so while I'm spazzing with the camera real fast, we'll take a look and see what our life totals are. So our Arthal X still leading the lobby even after losing that last one. at 91. TDQ 94. Motor Stormer sitting there at 87. Max 79. Narabuff 77. Alnert 69. Detective Valony 67. And Coyote Hype rounding up the field here in 58. Just realized my AC was still running, so apologies if that was there in the background this entire time. Hopefully it should be a little better now. As TDQ and Coyote Hype get set up here for this next one, the one thing I do want to bring up, of course, is that with this being the semi-final, you move on to the grand final just by getting into the top 4. So you do not need to win, you just gotta fight for 4th. As we're seeing already, that is a beautiful Stoic Lynx there. On the side of Coyote Hype, that thing is an absolute beast. Lynxes in general tend to be rather tanky, and having the Bulwark version of the Lynx is even crazier. Threw a couple items on there as well to make it even tankier. So it's going to sit there in the front line nicely, right alongside the Archos for a ton of healing. The Ramphy up into the top rope there, going to jump right onto 2, take care of them. Still a rather even fight, but a little bit more here in the favor of Coyote Hype. Ranger hopping around all over the place to try and deal some damage here for the side of TDQ, but it's not going to be enough. Try to get a couple pot shots here onto the tank, but it is going to be TDQ falling here. Coyote Hype might have had a little bit of damage done to them early here in this one, but they are so far making the comeback. Motor Stormer, TDQ, something going on as well. Detective Valony looking to try and make that comeback as well. I think we'll ride along with this one here this time by. Of course, Max 5. Getting a couple of different Scions. Has the fully leveled, or Stage 3 Riley as well. Or Railu, one of the two. I always mix up which one it is, but this is where it can actually become a fist-fighting carry, so very, very scary here for Detective to try and deal with. Granted, does have some mages to kind of back it up. Decent frontline, 3 tanks to try and keep the damage dealers safe, but we can see how fast the Cardillo is melting. Kamehameha from both sides as both of the Alphys are going to fire their water cannons, but Detective Alanaze is going to be the one that ends up winning that one-on-one. As the brawl continues down in the bottom right-hand side, with the mages just firing off shots all over the place. Here's another one from the Alfie on the left or the right-hand side. And there we go, Detective Aline coming in clutch here. Once again, keeping themselves above 50. Max gonna end up falling just above 50. And all the little things with the Alfies. Like, Alfie is how Fleece should be in terms of damage, but with the Alfie being a tier 5 unit, of course it needs to be a little better. If it were me, I mean, I'm not a developer, I'm not here for balance or anything along those lines, but I wish that the Fleece did a little bit more damage, but it was single target, so that Alfie could be like strong damage but hit everything in its path, if that makes any sense. But that's just me. Couple of juicy pickups here. The Fern gonna be picked up there from Detective Valene. Max managed to find themselves a flare, so a nice little fiery tank there for them. Take a peek and see what is going on here for Alnart, who's also dropped into the 50s. What did they just pick up? They picked up the Artes, so they're picking up a few things, trying to make a push, not that they've hit that 50s section. But in terms of the battle, we're going to take a look at Motor Stormer versus Arthalex, 2 of our top 3. And there it is. So Taiga Boreal, of course, this region just lets you reroll drone augments, so it's a very, very tame augment, to say the least here. You want to battle on through here. We see the polar bear. I mean, this thing is an absolute menace. It already tore through that Lynx. fully loaded up on damage and tank items. Trying to kill that thing is going to be extremely difficult here, as we do see them slowly but surely pulling on through. The Octius over on the left-hand side as well, just raining lightning on top of all of these healers. It does not matter how much you can heal, well, this thing bursts really badly. You might be able to hold the line maybe at least a little bit. Or am I talking too soon actually here? It seems like the right-hand side has been able to hang on, and they're going to be able to push on through with the leading charge of that Archos that has 3 tanky support items. Here I am thinking that that one was long gone, but beautifully done there from the red side there to actually come back and win that fight. Damn, alright. Yeah, that Archos was absolutely ridiculous. It had 2 of the same items where everything around it, every couple of seconds, gains additional mitigation, so additional damage reduction, basically. And stacking the 2 and the fact that they were sitting by each other that whole time, that was such a tanky squad. And we're going to see what happens here with Arthalexa once again, as they go up against Max, whose Scarabok is going to try and lead the charge. 3 shock as well here for Max, so just periodically you're gonna see that lightning bolt come on down and do additional damage. Rylu trying to take out its little brethren. It is going to immediately get shredded down, but it's extremely annoying trying to go up against the Crunk because of that blind. That smoke screen you see right there is the exact counter for a fist fighter, and it's a little bit rough here for the Rylu, for Max to have to try and go up against that. Is finally going to take it down, but now that nasty Archos is back once again, but maybe did not have enough chance or enough time to tank up, and it is eventually going to end up falling here, and Arthalex is going to end up falling. Just enough damage here for Max to try and get the job done. Stops the bleeding here at 39, knocking Arthalex down to 66, and now once again, one more AFK round, or AFK check, as I will call it. Load up on items. Motorstormer currently leading this lobby with 69. Arthalex 66, Nerva for 65. Couple of players in the areas where I would start getting a little bit antsy, but we're not in the danger zone. Nobody can get taken out just yet. Once we start seeing 15, 16, that's when I would start getting a little worried here. We take a look at Motorstormer's squad. We got the Penguin. We've got the Hollow squad coming out here. Love this, not the slashing, but the, I love the Penguin. Love the Revo as well, the little hedgehog looking thing. There's a battle here of our 2 top players, or not 2 top players, but first and third going up against each other. But around the lobby, we're going to take a look. We haven't seen TDQ in a little bit here. We're going to go up against the Valenay, who does have the Goliath here. So that Scarabok from earlier has evolved, and you got that Grand Knight's synergy now, which gives you some initial invulnerability off the start. Says they have a third. I'm guessing that's coming from the Ranger. But yeah, this little guy here, the Goliath, is an absolute menace, loaded up with tank items as well. So this thing is going to be incredibly difficult to kill. If at any point it's the focus for the DPS on the side of TDQ, it could be a little bit rough. But again, they do have some very good fist fighters. You got that Polar Bear, you got the Scorpion, they're right up in the top left now, just chopping away at the initial tanks that dove in onto them. In the back line, Vermilio is going to end up falling. So far, so good, I would say, here for the green side. Their big fist fighters are still here, and they almost got the Goliath down. There it goes. You may have the Earth for the you may have the Earth synergy for defense. You might have some temporary invulnerability, but it does not look like they have the damage to get through the damage dealers here of the green side. So there they go. Big damage done. Detective Valenay down to 26. Not at the bottom of the lobby though. Max is still there as of right now, but loading up on additional alluvials. Getting the Ferox is going to be a nice pickup for themselves. Pretty consistent damage dealer in their own right. Now this looks like a nasty front line here coming out from Coyote Hype. Of course, has that stage 3 Lynx, which is absolutely devastating. Has the fully leveled, not the Axon. I don't know why it's pulling a blank here right now, but that's a stage 3 Atlas. Got the Ramphy as well. That's going to be your damage. It is going to be diving basically towards the Mammoth, if I do think correctly here, because the rest of these here on the left-hand side are going to dive on through. Just diving completely on top of each other. Looking for the Rampies. Both of them have Rampies in this instance here. Not a bad position here for the red side. Coyote Hype is going to be able to get the Mammoth extremely low, but on the other side, a couple kill shots here coming out. And now with the Lynx being the last one standing, it's just a matter of time before it falls. The Rogue Squad coming out here from Naraba, coming in clutch. Lots of Illuvials still alive. Big damage done to Coyote Hype. Sitting at 9 now. Sitting on death's door. Well, same thing with Max now, it looks like. So that's very, very tough here. Of course, fighting for that 4th position is the goal here in the semifinal. You don't have to necessarily be the one to win the lobby. Just gotta make top 4. Have to keep an eye on these two, and in fact someone's going home right here right now. Coyote Hype versus Max, both players sitting at the very, very bottom. Now I was going to say it would be really, really unfortunate here if the Ranger was not bonded with something, but they do find that and get it bonded as quick as they possibly can. So Scions and Bulwarks up against the 5 Bulwarks, Empaths, and Aegis. So Coyote Hype's playing the kind of playstyle that I personally like, where you just have so much healing and so much tank that you can kind of just wait till the very, very end. But they also have a Rampy for a little bit of extra damage on maybe that critical DPS, which is that Ferriox up in that top right-hand corner. Rampy about to jump to the skies. Can it take down the Snake? No, it actually gets taken down before the damage activates, so that is just going to go completely for naught, allowing for the Scions on the side of Max and the rest of the squad to just go nuts, and that is going to be our first elimination here in this semifinal. Coyote Hype, I believe, is going to end up falling here, if that they will. And of course, we get snapped on over to another fight already in progress. Arthalex versus Detective Aline. And there we go once again. The tankiness from Arthalex is just too much to deal with, it looks like, at least as of right now. Archo's doing a fantastic job of keeping everybody topped off. But it is not going to be enough once the overtime damage comes on through. Big sustain coming out here from Detective Aline, keeping themselves in the game. Max on death's door as well, now going up against Naraba. Seven rogues here for Naraba, not going to waste any time, just try to assassinate everything. We do see the popping up the Ferox here. Trying to protect this thing is going to be the win condition here for Max. And you can see, normally you don't want to front line with this thing, but with the rogues all going to be jumping behind you, this is exactly what you have to do. And you can see, big old buddy system, death ball of sorts. Try and protect the Ferox, but who loves clumped up things as a rogue? It's the Ramphy. But the Rampy's kind of trapped, it's kind of stuck in that top right-hand corner. It's not going to be able to get to the Ferox off the start. Sure, they are going to lose 2, but is that going to be enough to let the Snake pepper in the damage? Firing tons of shots, building up that attack speed over time. So far, holding the line, but not long enough. That is going to be another elimination. Max is out. Arthalex versus Alnert as well is where we end up getting snapped on over to. Trying to see if that sustain can out-heal the damage coming out from that Octius. And we can see, once again, this Archos, this is the one that I'm talking about. The closer that this thing is to the rest of its teammates, it just makes everything so much tankier. And this time it's going to go exactly as planned. That alongside the Fergnite there, going to come in clutch. As it's now Motorstormer and Alnert at the bottom. I don't think they're at the point right now where they would get eliminated if they lost, but they are right on that doorstep. 1, 2 more for sure will get the job done. Of course, third time the charm here on the carousel. This is where the tier 4s and tier 5s really start to show up. You can really round out your composition. Item-wise, it's still going to be the augments. The purple for the ability, yellow for health, and then red for attack. And that's on top of another PvE round, so everybody's going to get a bunch of items here. Between the carousel and this round, one more chance to regroup as we get ready for the next PvE round. And we had 2 Seers actually here. That was kind of cool. Very, very tanky and spicy front line. Once again, follow check. Gotta check out the Revo once again. Here from Alnert. Back to Valenay, who had a rather rough start here, and this one's still hanging on by a thread. And it's the only one I've seen in a long time here get that Malura. So that is a stage 3 tank that basically dives in like an assassin. And then Detective Valenay flying that drone around like a menace. Hey, like, I understand APM spam. Look, I came from StarCraft. I know at the very, very beginning of the beginning of the game when there's nothing going on and everything's settled and good to go, that just mash buttons, mash the mouse. Kind of what it reminded me of there. Now again, this is where things get tricky. Detective Valenay versus Alnert. Both of these players very, very low. 2 more losses each will be curtains for them. And the tier 5 healer here, the Adordo, with the additional tankiness, the same thing that we saw that one Archos have, or the additional tankiness for the team, as well as Omega power, so that's your ability power over time. So it's, the longer this thing goes, the stronger its heals will be, and the harder it will be to get through that back line. But if you don't let them live to begin with, that's exactly how you stop that from happening. The rogues all diving in onto the back line here for the side of Detective Valenay, and that's going to be the ramp fight, driving on through, taking care of 3 with the back line gone. I don't know if you get back into this one if you're in Detective Valenay's shoes, especially if that ramp fight ends up firing off another ability in just a moment's time. Gonna try and drop it right here onto the Goliath, but it tanks it pretty decently actually. The Blazing Knight up in the top right here is hanging on for dear life, and with the rest of the team coming on through, coming in clutch, they're gonna absolutely be able to hang on and put Alnert with 2 health left, 1 more loss, and that is it. Big damage and big, big moments here for Blazing Knight and the rest of the team here for Detective Valenay. We don't get to see the Blazing Knight too often. That is the tier 3 variant of the Fern. Does also have that wildfire synergy as well, which can definitely come in clutch. Basically, if you have at least 2 wildfires on your team, every time you fire off an ability as a wildfire, you set something on fire, and you deal damage and heal based off the damage that you're doing. We got the rogues coming in once again here. That's slashing. That's the tier, or the stage 3 that we're looking for. Slashing, if left alone, this thing just sits there and, as its name implies, slashes you the entire way through. Diving on through, Octius is immediately going to get jumped on by all these rogues. Definitely a bit of a heartbreaker there for the green side of things. Ramp fight up to the top rope, and it's going to deal big damage to 3. Another one in the middle actually does major damage as well. With everybody popping here, now it's the Monarch goes flying on through. Stealth Bomber activated. Just a matter of dealing with the support line. Alner gonna win this one. Now I can argue that even Nereba is in death's door kind of percent at this point. TDQ as well. Motorstormer is right on the edge, but I don't think they're in danger for one. But this is actually a very, very close lobby here. A very, very good one. Of course, going all in with rogues can be very, very scary strategy. I know a lot of people, at least based off what I was reading in the Discord, say that, like, yes, rogues are good early, but you're basically playing for a top 4 if you try to commit to it. And we're kind of seeing maybe that come into fruition here as we're going to hop along with TDQ and Alnert. This is the possibility that this could be the final round in this match if 2 players end up getting eliminated here. Alner, of course, relying on the Inferno, Dust, and Air kind of combination, which is extremely good against this team combination that we have coming out here from TDQ. Whether it's Air, Dust, they are very, very good at dodging and blinding, which is exactly what you want up against fist fighters, which is what we see here with TDQ. Ramp fire all the way up to the top rope, once again taking care of 2, going one-on-one up against the Scorpion. Has enough shield to heal through. Nope, not this time. It is going to end up being the Ranger going down, and just like that, a good couple of moves here from the Ramp fight and the rest of the squad, and that's going to be an elimination here for TDQ. What about Detective Alané? What happened to them going into this one? It looks like they are winning as well up against Nereba, but there's still some pretty decent sized bodies there. What on earth just happened? Detective Alané is gone, I suppose. So with that, we do have our top 4. We know who's moving on to the grand finals, and we can start moving on over in just a moment's time here. Quick water breather here for myself, and we get into our grand finals. That's better. But I will say, considering that the spectator system has not even been out truly for a week yet, the fact that Illuvium's already hopped on it and done some fixes to it is absolutely incredible. Like, compared to Friday, after every single round where the carousel was a thing... Oops, fix myself up here. Bear with me. After every carousel round, we would have a big glitch that would just absolutely wreck momentum in the stream. But they've already fixed that, so that's awesome to see. What I hope next is just the... If I were to wish for one thing, it's just when a player gets eliminated, can we make it to where it doesn't immediately snap us over to another battle in action. Quick little adjustment over here. Hope everybody's having a good night so far. Alright, that's better. Fix up the game file for the next one here. so the game plan here for the rest of the night, of course, we got our grand finals coming up in the Dreamers Esports DayDream Illuvium tournament. And then if we have a little bit of time extra, maybe we will do an Illuvium run for ourselves. Personally, I have some tier 0s that I still need to catch as a holo. Maybe I'll do a hunt or two. Maybe show you around the overworld. Alright. Without further ado, get into the swing of things here. Our grand final for tonight. Okay, let's get into the swing of things here. For the last time tonight, this is our grand finals here for July 29th, Dreamers Esports DayDream Tournament. Our players this time by, it's going to be Nefer from Team Phantom, Artholex, Motorstormer, OLA Naraba, OLA Frodo, Alnert from Team Phantom. We have Friday's champion, 0x Ma. And I think new to, at least for us being here streaming, but not new to the scene, I'm a fishy. Of course, there's 3 rounds of play here today. A couple people happen to get a buy of sorts. And what on earth is this? Do we already have affinity imprints being left on the field? That seems extremely fast to have a wildfire affinity here. That could be, of course, a perk of this region, Abyssal Basin, where the arena itself, like, you're not going to notice. This looks like the default place that they're playing in. But the little effects that happen during the game could change. So we see above that a Tipo already having that wildfire. We actually have a very, very close battle here for our very first round. A Tipo, a shield, and heals, keeping them alive. Finally going to be able to hang on tight and gets the victory here. So remember how I was talking in the semifinals, so the wildfire imprint, the fact that you have that, I feel like it almost kind of forces your hand into what kind of synergy you have to play with, because you find yourself one more wildfire, and then you unlock that ability where every time a wildfire uses their ability, they burn their closest opponent and deals damage and heals. So that kind of is going to want to get you to push towards maybe a fire and grass kind of composition. We'll have to see if they take the baits here. Meanwhile, this Lynx is an absolute menace. It already has the attack speed buff plus the Templar buff, so this thing is going to do a ton of damage if it gets left alone. That Groko does manage to get that stun onto 3. You also have the Valente in the bottom right hand corner onto the back line, allowing for that Lynx and Tipo and the Ranger itself deal a ton of damage. A Lynx that powerful this early is definitely not natural. 3,000 damage already on the 4th round is pretty ridiculous. I'm sure Ma is happy with that one. Motorstormer kind of put in the same position that they were in the last tournament, where they were pretty much on top during the 1st round and then the semifinal. But then maybe got beat up a little bit early in the grand final. I know it's still very, very early to make that comment, but last time they did this, they got 2nd, so maybe they'll be up there in the running. Maybe it's a sign, maybe I'm just overthinking it. Based off my anxiety, I can probably guarantee you that I'm overthinking it, but it is what it is. It's what I do best. Nereba versus Arthalex here in this next one. Archos already in play right next to that big ol' Earth Groko. And the Dark Hollow Kuka, the little ostrich-looking thing on the right-hand side. Going to be an absolute menace too, but you still gotta watch out for this Lynx, which has steam compared to the wildfire we saw earlier, so that is going to be getting their ability rather quickly, but they get taken out rather quickly. So it's up towards the Fleesh and the Ranger to try and deal the damage, and you know how much faith I have in Fleeches. It is down. Nereba gonna end up falling in this one. 88's now in the tank. There's that Lynx once again if we're following this match. Ma versus Nereba. So rather than the attack speed that we saw before, they did opt to go for steam, where every couple of seconds it does get, I believe it's some energy and damage amplification at the steam imprint as well. There it is actually, so energy per second and permanent damage amp. So the longer it goes, the better. But if you get focused down, you are cooked. But let's see, Ma does have the cling that immediately gotten taken out. Fleesh on the right-hand side, gonna try and take care of the Rye, but it does literally nothing in terms of damage. This Lynx is just way too damn powerful. Everything it touches just gets chopped in half, it seems like. My goodness. Would be pretty crazy if Ma could find themselves a back-to-back victory. Let's hope I don't commentator's curse this, but it'd be pretty interesting if you just start streaming and start casting matches, if that's something that happens immediately. Alright, AFK check here. Ma's still the only one without taking any damage at this point. Arthalex and Nefer round up the top three. I'm a Fishy and Alnert holding the middle. Then Ole's Nereba, Ole's Frodo, and Motorstormer rounding up the field. Okay, that's actually ridiculous here. So, Shock isn't supposed to be an affinity that you can get until tier 5 start coming into play, normally. That's where if you get 2 of them, lightning starts striking random targets or low health targets. This is not even round 10, and we already have Shock in play. One, due to the Ranger system, but just with the way that Abyssal Basin, I think, is playing, making things absolutely crazy here for the players to have to deal with. So this must be new, and our players here in this tournament are really trying to do their best to adapt on the fly in this one. Nefer versus Nereba, and there is a nice little Dark Hollow lure. A beautiful catch there for Nefer. Again, Nefer versus Nereba. Is that Ace Dark Hollow as well? Damn, very nice, very nice. Fighters and Bulwarks on the right-hand side compared to the Rogues here in the green. Nefer dives on through. The only thing on the left-hand side now is just the Ace, who's going to come flying in here in just a second. Carpet bomb across the entire bottom half, but it's not doing a whole heck of a lot of damage. A good little distraction there from the Lura to keep the Ace alive. It is extremely low and will end up falling. And that's the Valente coming in here with extremely low health. Going to end up getting the damage done to Nereba after that one. And this is interesting too, because normally you don't see Valentes used unless you absolutely have to. But it looks like here, Nefer's actually found themselves, yeah, sure enough, that was it, the Exalted. So finding the Stage 3 version of the Valente, and I mean, if you get the Stage 3 version, it still packs a decent punch, and you can ride that, ride with that Illuvial much longer than you normally would. Earth, Water, Fighter, and a Bulwark for Motorstormer compared to I'm a Fishy. Oddly enough, not playing by their namesake, no waters in sight, just strictly Earth, Empaths, and Mystics, going for the tankier kind of play style. You do have the damage though with that Gorilla, which immediately goes after the Flea, should be able to take care of it nice and quick. Does in fact do so. Ranger in the middle, gonna end up falling. Good shield coming up there from that Granitipo. Keeping everybody topped off. Apon gonna get the one stun there onto the Doka. The only damage left on this purple side is really that Doka. That Ranger will fall in a moment's time here. That stun not making things any easier either. Cardillo on the right hand side here for Motorstormer is gonna fall. Now they're just gonna swarm on through. And now it's just left up to the Apon, who cannot deal that much damage. You might be able to slow the battle a little bit by stunning, but you cannot hold the line yourself. Will end up falling. Putting the Wildfire 2 onto that Greater Apon is actually kind of menacing. So not only do you stun off of that ability, but you set them on fire and start healing off it. That is crazy, as we now see Proto versus Motorstormer, 78 and 69 respectively. The shiny, or the Hollow Lynx, it does have a little bit of assistance in terms of its ability power, its Omega power rather. A couple of Unbound Rangers here too, some maybe not necessarily being used to its fullest fruition. Lynx up in the top right-hand side, dives on through, should be able to take care of the monk here pretty quickly. All looking good so far here for the green side. Doka goes down. Frodo looking extremely good here. Just a matter of dealing with the Cardillo, and very, very similar to the last round. That will be a wipe here for Motorstormer, taking some decent damage once again. Round 10, 63. It's not the worst situation I've ever seen anybody in, but that is a lot of damage still for early on here in this game. Saw Motorstormer a few times here, so let's take a run here with Alnert and Nefer. Nefer on the left-hand side here, Alnert on the right. What do they have? So, of course, the Exalted Valente, kind of an interesting pickup here. Got, of course, the Dark Hollowed Revo coming into play alongside the Ace. But on Alnert's side, what do you have? I mean, you do have the stage 2 of the Tiru. But I feel like that thing is basically the Fleesh of the Rogue category, so we'll have to see. Neither of these teams very overwhelming. We'll have to see who ends up taking this. The double dive buddy on the top going to immediately destroy this Ranger. Got the AC-130 coming on through, taking care of it as well. Carpet bomb the entire right side. This is looking much more one-sided than I was expecting it to be. Nefer cleaning this up quickly. Revo may roll out. It may be a Dark Hollow. The Hollows don't give you anything in terms of the competitive advantage. Not now, not this time, probably not ever. Nefer gonna take that one. A solid job there for Nefer, just even hanging on again to this Valente. Saw in the damage charts on the left side and right side when the battles are happening. It's getting 3,000 damage per round here, or in that last round. So it's keeping up with Illuvials that are a higher tier than it. So very solid pickup and wise to hang on. Meanwhile, we ride along here through this NPC rounds with Arthalex, who is our leader in this as of the moment. Again, getting the shock affinity extremely quick into this game. And we do see on the left-hand side there, the Riley with the orange fox looking thing. If they can level that up to the stage 3 and have 3 shock characters, 3 shock Illuvials, that would be absolutely devastating. I mean, it's devastating already as is. And really to round up that composition, I mean, I'm kind of biased. Everyone, you know I like bulwarks, but you level up one more time and you get one more bulwark, and now you've got the reflective damage. That would be very, very nice if I do say so myself, as we are going to ride along here again with Arthalex going up against OLA's Frodo. Almost said Frodo, and I was like, no, it's not me playing my ranked games. No, that's Frodo, not Frodo. Meanwhile, the Rake getting picked up here by Frodo. Add another rogue to the squad, I suppose. Loaded up on items as well. Does have the red item above its name there. I'm not going to be able to get the name of the item as of this moment, but if I recall correctly, that is damage amplification and omnivamp. So as it's dealing damage, it will be healing. Some serious damage being done to the southern side of the arena. Just 4 left to go. These shocks, though, are being kind of problematic here for the red side as well. And it looks like they should, in theory, be able to clean this up, but at the same time, they're not really being able to take care of this Rake. These last 2, or the one Illuvial and the Ranger, are extremely difficult to take down. The blinds all over the place are making it so difficult, and to be honest, it's a lot of low health bars here. There's an opportunity here for the Rake to be able to pull through. It has to go through the overtime damage, though, and the Archos heal. Can it happen? No, it is barely. That was way closer than it should have been. Holy smokes. Holy. The little Rake that could, it almost had enough healing and enough Omnivamp to fire their way through that. Just coming up short. Okay, with last week's champion, Ma, going to be playing the Nature and Verdant style, so a very, very tanky, healing-reliant strategy here for Ma. Once again, covered around the turtle-looking thing, the Archos, as well as the Twine, the grassy sloth-looking thing. Meanwhile, in the red, a little bit of a mixture of dive plus mage and magic power. They do have the Chikoro, I do believe, which is that fiery little bear we see on the left-hand side. Can be very elusive, but I find it a lot of times it has a hard time keeping up in terms of damage. But it's been able to tear through the front line right now. They might be sitting in the verdant puddle, but they're still able to do some decent damage and try to spread things out. That Archos is not in range to heal its allies, but the Ebb is there to make it rain heals on top of its partners. Gets one more off. The T-Bow going to try and keep it and its ranger partner alive, but the TNT is going to end up getting focused, so no more magic damage from the side. It is just a matter of dealing with the Chikoro. The bear does eventually fall. A little bit messy here for Mug. Kind of got displaced, but they were able to capitalize nonetheless. Speaking of displacements, Motorstorm is going to end up picking up the Winks this time. Same thing with Elnert, it looks like. Meanwhile, Frodo picks up the Penguin for a little bit more consistent damage. Now we're going to pick up the Mammoth for a little bit of displacement and tank. And then Ma and Arthalex going to pick up the Archies for some more help towards their big beefy healers. Of course, this one is the grand final. This is it. Win this lobby, win the tournament. Win this lobby, win the tournament. Win the turnip. What the? Hollow Verminio about to dive on through, but now this is going to get nasty. Frodo looking to make these rogues work strong up against the green side here. Not very many tanky bodies to have to deal with because both of these players are relying on a mixture of rogues and a couple of scions. But Frodo more reliant on the rogues. As you see everybody diving on through, Dark Taste is immediately going to end up going full carpet bomb across the entirety of the red side. They're sitting on fire. They are going to be taking a bunch of damage over time for at least a little bit longer, but they do end up fighting through nonetheless. And because there's not very many tanky bodies, that leaves only one Valiant Valente to try and go up against 5. And I mean, it may be the little tier 0 that could. It might be leading the damage on the team, but it is not enough. Stabin leading the charge on the other side. 7,000 damage compared to its next teammate. So that's the problem with the Slash-In or the Penguin Alluvial. If it gets left alone, it is nasty. It doesn't have burst damage, but by God, does every single swing hurt above average. Top of the board here too, yeah, we've got Ma versus Arthalex. The Nature Verdant style coming out once again, this time versus the Jack of all trades plus a shock here with the Bulwarks and Ampaths. So both of these teams don't want to move, they just want to sit around their Archos and heal as often as possible. Meanwhile, we see the Ranger on the green side diving on through, trying to take care of the Winks. Going to opt to get out of there, start going after some of the front line. The blinds coming out here from the Crunk is going to make things a little bit difficult here for that Ranger to get any closer. The Riley and the Railu in the middle. Finally going to deal with the Cardinal. That is going to be the first to fall. Red side going to end up losing 2, maybe losing a 3rd here. It looks like Ma's going to be able to pull through just by numbers. Some strong fighters, but especially having all of those items over on the Fur Knights. That bird on the left-hand side, it may be an empath, it may be considered a support, but that thing does damage like a traditional DPS damage style character, especially with the Templar buffs that they do have. So definitely going to be a team composition, a player here to look out for as we go into our next DPS check. Gather up some items as per usual. Nobody's at death's door just yet. However, Motorstorm are definitely getting close. They probably are only 2 losses away from getting eliminated here. Can't be hanging on to the gold for the credits for much longer. And of course, Ma leading the charge up against Nefer in this one. Let's take a look and see what else we got going around here. Arthalex versus Alnert. Possibly put Alnert into the danger zone if they do end up falling here. Arthalex, of course, like last time, still going to be running that Jack of all trades with a shock. Has style 6 bulwarks, actually, so really all landing on the tank side of things. I respect it, but even I don't normally go for 6 tanks. Granted, I'm also like below average in terms of my rating, so we'll see. Maybe I'm going to learn something here today. Of course, Alnert does have the damage, though, compared to the other side. Going to be diving right on through, completely surrounding the Archos. But the Archos pops the heal right in time to save the Tilu for at least a little bit longer. But not long enough. The Arctate's going to fly on through, Carpet Bomb up the top, and take care of the Archos. The big healer is gone. And slowly but surely, the green side shall melt away. They absolutely crush it and melt on through. Vermilio hanging on by a thread. And of course, it may dive in like an assassin, but it's meant to be a tankier character. That little anteater looking thing. But they did actually put damage items on it. So it does pack quite the punch. With us now getting into the danger zone. Ole's Frodo versus Motorstormer. Motorstormer, if they lose this one, they will be out of the tournament, finishing in 8th place. Relying pretty heavily, of course, on these Scions. Got a couple of bulwarks, couple of fighters. So a lot of damage, but very little support for the damage. They got a front line, they have the damage, the back line, but next to nothing, if anything at all, in regards to shields. And they're going up against rogues who want to take care of them extremely quickly. Dark Taste getting a lot of damage done to it. It's going to be forced to run away. That Carpet Bomb not really getting any sort of value. But that spin coming out here from the Seer, helping do a ton of damage, but it's not going to be enough to the point where the game just says, no, this one's over. Hopping on over to Ma versus Alnert. Alnert should be falling here. They've managed to break into that corner, but I don't think it is going to be able to go much further than that. Making it rain heals. They've got the Verdant backup for healing as well. They will end up falling. So Motorstormer, our first elimination here in this tournament, finishing in 8th place. A very, very valiant run. Still in the prizing, so congratulations nonetheless. Was able to fight back on Friday, but wasn't able to repeat that this time by. But that's a-okay. I know Abyssal Basin, this region, seems to be throwing a lot of people for a loop. Going into this next one, left side, we got Water, Steam, Toxic kind of style coming out here from Neraba up against Alnert once again. They've got the damage. They have the Winks this time for a little bit of extra disruption, opting to take one of their Scions away to get that benefit. The stage 3 Lynx is here as well. Now this is the kind of Lynx though that I'm not necessarily a fan of though, because the only way that it gets any value is by healing missing health damage. So to lower your health, the more it heals, but even then it feels like it doesn't do anything. But it's relying heavily on the damage from this Ripe Lance. This Scorpion is going absolutely bonkers. 3-on-1, Kenneth pulling off. AC-130 diving on through, stabbed in the heart. Can it get through the Ranger? It absolutely will be able to. Ripe Lance, this Toxic Berserker, coming in clutch. I love this little Scorpion as long as it actually finds its way to its target. It can be an absolute menace. Of course, we're still going to ride along here with Alnert sitting on death's door, 7 health in the tank, going up against this heavy, heavy rogue line. But I believe this is Neraba. And this is what I was talking about. The Verminio does have some extra tank, but it does have the items that allow for a little extra damage, a little extra tank, so it's going to dive on through. Granted, there's not going to be anybody but that Winks, or the Quinks, to really need it there. The Kuka's perhaps going to try and join it and take it down. Meanwhile, the main battle over on the right-hand side getting a little bit nasty. The Inferno has been triggered, so there is lots of fire damage across the board just ticking away. As of right now, extremely even. Revo going to try and get out of the dodge, but this Arctis in the background is going to be stuck to try and go up against 4. They were not able to finish the kills. AC trying to dive on through. The Carpet Bomb does take out 2, but they're literally going to floss on them before finishing the job, it looks like. One more try here for Alnert to make that Carpet Bomb work, but it is going to be for naught. Alnert's going to be taken down once again. In a battle so close, even the game is nervous as we start spazzing out here in the carousel. But Alnert going to be eliminated here in 7th position. Next closest to elimination as of this moment goes to Nefer, who is able to get first pick since they're the lowest HP in the carousel. They find this... Why am I blanking on the name? I was going to call it the Squeesh, but no, that's just a squid in a fleece. A Flare going to end up getting picked up here by Ma as well, so that, even for a last pick, that's not too bad. We'll have to see how this goes. Of course, this is the drone augment system that I was talking about before, and we see with the composition right now that our leader is, or with what Nefer's running, heavily reliant on attack speed and omni-vamp as well. So when you fire off your ability that you do heal. Squeeze, that's what it was, not a squeesh. I mean, if it's not protected, it does become a squeesh, but that's not the name of the alluvial. Whoopsie. Just gonna beat on through this NPC round nice and fast. But a very, very close battle. I mean, cliche as ever, but it's anybody's game still at this point. Mod did have a very, very strong lead, but did get chipped it away pretty decently here. And is Nefer still running the Exalted Valente? Damn, okay. The little Valente that could, and it's Neraba versus Nefer. Fighters versus rogues and the Axodon. That's the one I was talking about earlier, where you've got that big, oversized axolotl looking dude. Got the Ripe Lance as well. So majority of the time, rogues do not like jumping into this, because usually a one-on-one rogue versus fighter goes into the favor of the fighter. But if you can swarm one of them, it could be a different story. If the ramp fight can manage to get a good ult on the left-hand side, it could change everything. Up to the skies it goes alongside the Monarch, and out of some major damage up on the left-hand side. It does take a few down, but it's still a rather decent trade, 1-for-1 here. The Ripe Lance has been doing a fantastic job staying just out of range, but it still does end up falling. The Ripe Lance on the Monarch going to try and deal with it, but based off of what I just saw right there, I think Nefer has been eliminated. And sure enough, that is going to be the case. Arthalex is the next one on death's door now. I guess if there is one thing that I do wish then for this next spectator update is that it does allow us to actually see the killing blow for players that are eliminated. But again, that's not meant to be a dig. This thing is great for only being out for a week, so I'll still give credit there. Octius over on the right-hand side. This thing is sandwiched. It is not going anywhere, and there are a ton of things I would love nothing more than to dive on top of it. You've got the Ripe Lance, you've got the Joggle, the Rake, the Polar Bear, the Cardalox is going to try and hold on through, and then Hydrolinx is going to try and keep them topped off that entire time. That big old beefy thing in the middle, though, that Gnarl, is going to be very, very strong at trying to hold the line. Can they get some down? That's one falling on each side. Cardalox trying to keep that Crunk in position as well. They've nearly broken a hole. If they can get rid of this Gnarl, they do. They are on the back line. The Ripe Lance is on the back line. Can it get a stab onto the Octius? It will. Is it enough time, though? It's trying to get through the Archos. It does. We'll have a one more shot here onto the healer. It is going to be able to do so. And that's another elimination here. Arthalex is barely going to fall. As we go into our next round momentarily, though. OLA leading the lobby now 1-2. Would be pretty crazy if they could finish in this regard, especially since last week I had made the comment that it sucks that 3 of OLA's members got into the grand finals. I don't think any of them made it higher than 3rd or something like that. So they were definitely looking to prove me wrong here today. As we do have on the red side, very, very tanky squad. 8 Earth, 4 Granite. That is absolutely crazy. That front line is just not going to be taking any damage. They actually made the Chikoro a Granite as well, so it could dive on in and not take any damage. Is that going to be enough to tear through this heavy, heavy sustain? As of right now, it looks good. That Exalted Grilla is onto the Archos, does tear through it. It's a Wildfire on top of that as well. Keeping it topped off for at least a little bit longer. It's finally going to fall. but there are still a lot of tanky members here on this red side. The Sephoris here, this snail-looking thing to your right, just peppering damage pretty much untouched. The tank, the Goliath, alongside the Ranger, doing a great job of just holding a line down towards the south side, but the overtime damage is coming on through. Can the Sephoris land and stay alive through this? I think it does. I'm officially going to hang on for their life, as Ma actually ends up falling here. So your champion from last week is going to fall in 4th place. Still a fantastic and respectable finish nonetheless, so congrats about that. But now here we are. It looks like I Am a Fishy and Frodo battle it out. Rogues versus Rogues and Mystics. And then the other player is going to end up playing up against a Ghost. This could very well be the final round if things roll a certain way. Let's see, all in on Rogues or have a little bit of extra backline firepower. We'll see which one they prefer. The Sephoris over in the top there is going to be completely untouched, able to fire at will. But here comes the ramp fire, going to end up taking care of one, chops down a second as well. And now, as the entire front line falls here, I'm a Fishy's Sephoris is left exposed as the rest of the green members start to come on down, chop it up, and I'm a Fishy is going to end up falling here in 3rd place. It is an OLA 1-2 finish no matter what here, with Frodo leading over Nereba. Little bit of a breather in the action. Nereba literally 1 HP and a dream to try and make this comeback work. We see this is of course the virtuous Hydrolinks that I was talking about. We don't get to see it too often because personally I feel like it's a little bit underwhelming for a tier 3. The fact that its healing is only based off of 2% of your missing health, it does not really get the job done. Granted, it pops its ability very quickly, so it's always up. It's an interesting tactic. So we'll have to see what happens here. Possibly the final round of the tournament. OLA's Frodo versus Nereba. We'll have Frodo in the green, Nereba in the red. Heavy rogues here once again from Frodo. Meanwhile, Nereba, water, steam, toxic. Strictly trying the fist fight, it looks like 6 fighters. But again, this team composition coming out here from Frodo is basically the exact answer for a fist fight composition. The dust, the air, you have blinds, you have dodge. Those are all things that fighters do not want to see. But Nereba is going to all in. 7 fighters on the field, especially that right lance, who's sitting directly into the ramp fight's fury. Knocked down the half. It's immediately going to be taken off the board. The carry is gone. The entire team is gone. OLA Frodo, congratulations on your DayDream tournament victory here for Illuvium Arena. Blink and you miss it. The rogue team coming in clutch, making me eat my words in regards to the fact that rogue teams could get top 4 and nothing else, and making me eat my words the fact that OLA had the hard time last week and came in for the win here today. All right. Now, time currently, it's not even 10 o'clock yet, so I very well and give Illuvium a try based off of this timing. Just gotta set some things up real quick. But yeah, crazy to think that come Friday, it would be my 5th week of streaming and trying to pursue content seriously. Still very, very thankful to have been able to give this a shot. We'll see how long we can go. I know some opportunities are definitely right around the corner. Nothing that I can specifically announce yet, so I hate to tease in that regard, but we're right there. It'll come out soon, I promise. Let's just say that there's a reason I should probably keep casting. Keep myself fresh. I know personally I've been having a lot of fun with Illuvium so far. Personally, I do feel like there's an opportunity here. Not to get into the metrics or in terms of, I guess, business strategy if you want to call it that, but I definitely do see that in terms of casters and content creators for Illuvium as a whole, majority of what I see are people that are very, very heavily invested in the crypto specific side of things. Meanwhile, I really don't care. I just want the game to be good. I love the idea that this is a... Oh,
don't.
Here we go. I love the idea of this game with multiple universes kind of links together. That's what sold me on it. Crypto didn't do that. So whether it be content or casting or what have you, I'm kind of liking this, and I might be doing this a little bit more often. Obviously, I still have my roots in collegiate esports. I'm going to be giving updates on that where I can. But I think we may see some more Illuvium over time. It's not always going to be a tournament cast, but we will see. Alright, 3, 2, 1. Does this break my PC? Let's take a look. And I think we're good? Question mark? Oh yeah, I can't do it that way. I actually have to control the game. There we go. So of course, you might be used to me being in the Illuvium Arena. So this might actually be the first time that you see me in here at all in the overworld. So you may have heard me talk about as well about catching the Illuvials. This is the game mode that you do it in. So this here is the area where you first spawn in. This is eventually going to be like your home planet. I know they have multiplayer modes right around the corner to be released, actually. There was a little portal over there that's a shortcut to getting over here, but I kind of wanted to show the place around. Because honestly, in all of gaming, I gotta say I just personally love the way that this ends up looking. Like nothing over the top, but at least it looks really, really good, which is very hard to say for Web3 games in general. Like, you go out, you collect resources, you collect the alluvials themselves. You go to this building here, and you're able to make battle suits, make items for yourself to get into the overworld as well. I know for anybody who's just starting out, which again, completely free to play here, but this is kind of where you would then make stuff which in theory could be sold. Would I rely on it actually being sold? No. But this is something that you can do. Shards, if you come from Pokemon, this is basically your Pokeball. Not this thing in particular, but these here, everything's labeled tier 0 to either tier 5. And like a tier 0, this is what we're going to be using today, the cured shards. Cured shard fragments. That is going to be my Pokeballs for the tier 0s that we're up against here in our exploration. Now my team itself, if I hit the Z button here, no, let me remember, how do we do this here? Did I forget how to do the overworld? It's been a little bit. There we go. So I've got my guy. It's a little bit different than my yellow guy in game, but here we are. So remember how I have our Charlian? He's here. He's one of my favorites still. But I have a big old collection of Illuvials for myself already. Of course, I've been collecting these things over the last, say, 1.5 to 2 years. Just whenever I could. I did even at one point a long time ago pick up some from the shop with a couple of old tournament winnings, just to make sure I had enough for a specific game mode, which unfortunately isn't around anymore. There used to be a game mode called Ascension, where it was strictly a one-on-one style of the Illuvium Battle Arena that you know, but you actually had to own the Illuvials in order to compete. So I definitely went out and collected a bunch. Of course, Ascension is no longer a game mode in the game. It has been swapped out to the Gauntlet that we now know and love. Like, I have a couple of them. I got a couple of hollows as well. I was looking for my Archelion. Where did nothing go? Oh, is it not going to show me it because it's in here? There he is. Yeah, so this is my favorite guy right here. But as you're catching all of these Illuvials, you'll see over in the right-hand corner there's a the hexagon and the glowing in the middle. So every time you catch one of these, its stats can be different. With it being maxed, that little yellow that you see fills up that entire bar, fills up that entire hexagon. So if I were to play in the Leviathan game mode for Illuvium Arena, my Archelion would not be the greatest. However, majority of competitive right now, and just being able to use Arena is based off of Gauntlet, so those stats do not matter. Now hop on over to the portal, and what we're going to end up doing, so it's tier 0s that I want to try and get the hollows for right now. So I'm going to pick a region, go to stage 0, and we're going to travel there. And I'm going to just explore the region as best as I can and try to find myself some hollows. There's 2 ways that we can do this. The first time I'm going to do a nice relaxed way. The second way is going to be the try-hard way, so that we can squeak one more run in here before we're out of time for tonight. Greatland Steppes is the first place that you get to unlock and go take a look. Now, each of the regions do have a little bit of difference in terms of what shows up there. So like Brightland Steppes here, you're more than likely, or you're more likely rather, to find grass and air alluvials.
Here we are.
Meanwhile, there's other locations that may be a little bit more heavier towards earth or towards fire types, or water and grass. Some sort of combination like that. But basically, you head out, you explore. There's some areas where you may have to do a little bit of a jumping puzzle of sorts to make sure that you don't wipe out. But we can see right here, actually, there is a tipo right there that just spotted me. So it's going to run. I'm going to try and chase this thing down. And I got to tag it with my laser. My drone is willing to help me because I have potato aim. I'm going to fire it down. As soon as that bar gets full, it will become or get put into a battling state. So what I would then be able to do is E, hold R to fight,
Come on, buddy. Let's do this.
and you hop on in. Where it then brings you into a scenario that's like Illuvium Arena, except you bring in the alluvials that's on your team yourself. This part of the game, though, I do want to give the heads up, is actually being phased out. There is an MMO Lite that's being made currently, where the catching or the collecting of alluvials kind of gets tied to that instead, and then Overworld will get phased out. So that's why I kind of want to personally get in here and catch some of these things while I still can, because eventually, especially if the MMO Lite comes out when the next set of alluvials comes out, this might have been the only way that you can get these. So, everything else you'd have to eventually get from the marketplace from another player. But in terms of this moment right here, right now, while we're still in Overworld, you'll notice that purple bar up at the very, very top, sitting there with an 82. So that's in regards to how many credits I can use in this battle if I want to try and catch this thing. If I use up this entire ball, or this entire bar, I get one shot. So here. It's in the catch, it's all based off of the amount of credits it takes for placing the alluvial. So say my Sea Forest, I'm going to come out here and place it. It drops down, and that's A-okay. This here, this Atipo, is 25. So every single time that I try to catch it, it's going to take away 25. So I have 2 shots available to try and catch this thing, for example. So, I'm pretty confident with this. We'll fire on through, take care of this thing nice and quick. Gonna be able to take that thing down relatively quickly as soon as the ability was charged. Your characters do have levels and experience in this. And now at this point, I get to check and see. If I right click on him and hold shift, what kind of stats does it have? This thing has maxed out attack speed, for example. So if I really, really want that, I'm gonna click on him. I'll take my shard, confirm, take a shot at him. And we'll get to see if it ends up catching. And it's not going to waste any time, so we're going to be able to catch this guy. This guy is now in my collection. It's a cute little animation, as well as see the stats once again, a little bit more broken down, exactly how that affects its ability over on the right-hand side. And then you get back out there. Now you can't stay in the overworld forever, though. You'll notice as soon as I'm done loading here, down in the bottom right-hand corner, there is an energy gauge. And catching the alluvial, for example, used up 650. Once that bar is empty, the portal to get back home will start to crumble, and you'll be forced back out of the zone to go back to the hometown there of Sancta Mesa. But now, we're here for hollows. We're going to take a look. No shot. There's one right there. That Groku's hollow. Okay, we're going for this one then. 100%. Oh, it spotted me. It's a water one. Get the drone in there. This thing's running. When you do aim while in the air, it does slow down time, but I just have such a hard time with this. You can't hold down. Your gun will overheat, or your laser will overheat, so I have to keep kind of peppering. And these things don't last forever, so I have to get there quickly.
Nice shot.
There it goes. I swear to God, if I saw a hollow and then ended up losing it because of having potato aim, I would never forgive myself. So I guarantee you, it is not that easy to just find a hollow like that. Streamer luck here is apparently giving me a little bit of a benefit, but I still have to catch this thing. This isn't a guarantee, not yet, not now. This lesser water Groko that we see here in front of me, hollow of course, but it takes 25 per catch. So, not only I want to catch this thing, I want to make sure that I don't use more credits than I have to. And that's the problem with taking all of these big guys. Like right now, if I had, say, the TNT instead of the Seafarus and was only able to spend 35, I'd much rather that compared to the 55. But that's what I'm going to have to do is spend this. I'm going to have 2 shots to catch this thing. Alright. So the moment of truth in just a moment's time here. There is the hollow Groko. Stats-wise, it's not terrible actually. The blue heart that you see there, that's in reference to its health. And the green that you see on the left-hand side, that's in reference to resistances. So it's got the second best stats it could possibly have in health and resistance, for which a tank is the main thing. And then it's got the second best stats it could possibly have in its Omega power. So when it does that jump up in the air and does that AoE stun, this thing, like, to be honest, is not that bad. I really actually hope that we end up getting this thing. Give it my shard. I got 2 shots at this. My drone dipped, apparently. Based off the sound, it sounds like we got it. There he is. Got ourselves a hollow. Just like that. There we go. Streamer luck. I don't even know exactly what happened to my drone there. I think I right-clicked off the map on accident and it went flying across the world. But there we go. We have a little lesser watered Groko. Hollow caught on stream. There we go. Here I am thinking I might have had to go into overtime today to try and find a shiny, and even though, or shiny or hollow, but even then, there was no guarantee that would have been the thing. Of course, just because I caught something does not mean the run is over, so I'm going to continue to take a look here. I can promise that the stuttering that you're seeing, this isn't the game itself, this is just my computer chugging, so it's not just you. We see here the Valente in its natural habitat, one of the air ones. I'm going to let him go, though. I'm not going to worry about him. I'm just going to explore the area. See what I can find. No shot. Okay, I was going to say, is that a second one? The Fire Tipo. Not in its natural habitat at all. Normally it should be in the Crimson Waste, but it's going to come visit here apparently. And that's what I was referencing before, because just because something or a certain type is attached to a environment doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to only be that thing. Search on through. Hello, Groco. One of the things I'd also be interested in is if I happen to spot one of the evolved versions of a tier 0. So instead of the lessers, like maybe find a greater. That's a lesser, okay. Because that would be cool. Because in order to... Ooh, fine. In order to actually evolve like a lesser into the greater, for example, you got to get it to level 25. And then to get the greater into the exalted or the stage 3, you have to get it to level 40. And in Overworld, I am not going to lie, one of the things that kind of blew me off of Overworld for a little bit is that grind from 25 to 40. 1 to 25 is okay, it's not too bad. But to 40 is just way too long. You'd have to use the not so free runs to really get decent experience to be able to do that. And of course, I'm trying to play this from not a pure free-to-play perspective, but like a low-spend perspective. I'm definitely not going to be one to wail out. I'm going to check this area here. This is actually one of my favorite spots in the entire zone. The skeleton bones here of some sort of creature. Glide my way over. Let's explore this area. And after that, I'll show the other way that we can explore through here and try to find our hollows. Take a peek through the bones. Don't see anything as of yet. Now my screen just went black, however I see OBS is still working, so I'm going to take a peek on my OBS. Try and see if this is going here. What on earth happened to my other screen? The scuff continues, apparently. Yeah, bear with me for a minute. This is weird. Ah, that's a new one. Can't say that I've ever had that happen before. My screen in front of me went completely black. It's not the desktop, it's just the screen. So give me 1 second here. I'm gonna plop out from it. I'm trying to see. It appears my screen is certified cooked. Well, that's unfortunate. So because of this, I hate to cut things short, but I literally can't see right now. I can see my OBS, but that's it. Let's hop on over here. Oy. Not the way I would have wanted things to end today, and I apologize for that. But yeah, this screen's cooked. I can't really see right now, so I'm gonna get that thing taken a look at. Fix it up for the next time by. I do thank yous for joining me for the tournament stream. And maybe sometime down the road I'll give Overworld another shot here. I'm not sure what blacked out the screen, so... that's random. But thank you again. We'll be back once again. Assuming all is well, we will be back again come Friday. In theory, it should be progress report time, but it might also be another tournament cast. We'll see when we get there. Thank you all. Sorry for the way that it ended up ending, but thank you again.